Hello everyone, welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is John. I am a professional tarot reader, and I wanted to do a little review today of a very simple little oracle deck that I have in my possession. So these are called the Heart cards, and it comes in a little thing just like this. There used to be a slip of paper on top here that had like the heart cards and a couple other things, but I use this deck a lot, so I ended up removing it because I just had to take it off every single time to pull the cards anyways, and it wasn't doing that much for me. So there are 101 different slips here. This deck was made in 1995 by Michelle Ducharme and Mario Biasio. No clue what the real pronunciation is. But regardless, this deck is older than me. Probably not this one specifically, but these cards themselves, I was born in 1999, so that's really interesting for me. And if we take a look at the back, it has the website www.heart.ca, and that is where you would go to buy this online if that's what you want to do. Personally, I bought this at a local metaphysical shop. They had a few little decks like this that were on display, and they were already open, so you would just kind of take a slip, give yourself permission to succeed, is this one, and then you just put it back. And I ended up, every time I would come into the shop, which was very often, very often, I would use the different slips for these different little affirmation sort of decks that were on trial, and I got the most out of this deck compared to the other ones, and I really enjoyed using it, so I decided to get it. This one says, "Love yourself more, you are beautiful." It's not focusing on my camera for whatever reason. So this doesn't come with a guide because it doesn't need one. Every message is really short, sweet, and simple, to the point. Focus on what you really want, is what this one says. And they all look just like this. So super simple, straight to the point, extremely easy to use. I don't need to use my brain whatsoever to use these, which is perfect for when I'm just in a funk and I don't feel like I'm necessarily up to interpreting a whole complex reading and all of that. So this is one way that you can shuffle these cards. You're a little bit limited in shuffling these, and, well, you'll see why the more I try to shuffle them. Because there's so many, this is quite a messy way of doing it, actually. You have great consideration for others. Wonderful thing to hear when you're feeling down, or even when you're feeling okay or good, just to further uplift you. So these cards are available in multiple languages. For the English version, the Dutch version, and the Italian version, it has the full 101 cards. And that is $12.95 Canadian on their website. And they have a 72 card version, so it's a little bit smaller, in French and in Spanish for $10.95 Canadian. So at 101 cards, that comes down to about 12 cents per card, which is certainly not bad for something you're getting value out of. The cardstock, well, look, it's just thick paper, right? It's not anything fancy. It's not anything super durable or super thick. So when it comes to shuffling, it's difficult to do it the way you would with like a full-sized, square-shaped, standard sort of deck. Doing it like this, it's painful for me because my hands hurt quite easily trying to do complex motions with them. You can try kind of mushing them together. That works pretty alright, but ultimately you don't really need to shuffle these because it's 101 slips. Like, you're not gonna be getting a great shuffle out of them. I mean, can I even try doing it this way? I can try, I can't quite succeed. So I often will just do this to shuffle the little bits around. And you can pull them off the top, you can cut and fold, or fan method is probably the most fun for this deck. Ooh, and this one flipped up on its own. This deck is very good for jumpers. If you like having decks that have cards that will just jump out at you and force you to acknowledge them, this is great for that. Go with your intuition. And this one I pulled out, your presence creates beautiful harmony. So yeah, there's absolutely like nothing wrong with this deck. I mean, despite the kind of flimsy material of the cards, I've never had an issue with like paper cuts or having it get bent when it jumps out, or like really bad warping at all. And I've had this for a few years. I use this for a while. I was using this deck every day because it's amazing to add on at the end of another reading, to just sort of give you something to meditate on, give you something to focus on. The small size of it makes it great for a travel deck. Very portable, very easy to use, you know, if you somehow it ends up getting lost while you're traveling. It's not really a big deal because it's not that expensive, right? And a lot of the messages will be similar in nature. So if you lose the one that says you have a big heart, well, you'll have one that says your presence brings joy. You know? You'll have one that says you are a bright light. Forgive, let the past be the past. Allow love to prevail. Remember the magic within you. That's a great message. So I really have no reason to not suggest this deck. It's perfect for an uplifting message. It's great for just something quick and simple to tie up the end of a reading. What I used to do for quite a long time was I combined this deck with another very small, simple one, this Swatches of Chakra deck from Kaleidodope, and is made by Crystal Banner. So this was another really cheap one. This one also cost about $10. I'll do a review of this deck probably next. It is one of my favorite tools by far. And it's just a color, a number, and a saying. So what I used to do was I would combine these two for something really simple. Get a color, so this nice, pretty pale green says connected. Pull another one, this purple one that says intuition. So we've got purple and green, so we've got the heart chakra and the third eye chakra here, so closing in around the throat. Got 14-4 and 18-6 if you like numerology, but it's not about this deck. And then I would just sort of layer this on top. So this card says, your successes can be truly amazing now. So when I put these together, let's see if I can zoom in a little. There we go. So being connected to your intuition can come to some truly amazing results in whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. That's a great message. And look at that. I hardly had to think for it. And then just show, I think, one more example of how this might look with a traditional tarot deck. I always love seeing how different decks can combine their energies and work together. So let's take this classic Rider-Waite. And we'll just pull like a real quick example of like maybe a past, present, future. We got the past, the Page of Cups, present, Six of Swords, and I'll just make that upright as well. And the Ace of Pentacles. So in the past, we have more innocence, more exploration, not quite being sure what you're feeling or how you feel about your relationships with others, but being ready to make new connections. And then we have in the present, the Six of Swords, so something didn't quite turn out the way we wanted it to, and we're moving away from it. And then the future, Ace of Pentacles, so new opportunities, brand new growth, especially good opportunities in the home, in the career, and in the material world. And then I will just cut this a few times, pull off the top. You are now ready for new ventures. Look at that. That's perfect to place right there. So this connecting card helps really nail in the message that this Six of Swords, this movement, is in the present, but as you're moving towards your destination, as you're moving away from what you're moving away from, you're already ready to start on the next step. You don't need to wait until you reach the shoreline to start building this new growth, this new development in your life. And then trust your inner knowing. So I like putting these cards sort of in between as connecting themes between cards. So trusting your inner knowing. This looks like something that we developed. So trusting your inner knowing. We started off with new relationships that we're now moving away from. Trusting your inner knowing may be a message that maybe when you met this new connection or encountered this feeling, you had your intuition with you and it was telling you, you know, I don't think something's right. I think maybe I feel uncomfortable, like I want to move away from this. But at the time, you didn't actually know that it was needed. But now we know that that intuition, that feeling that you had previously was correct. And that's just some examples of how this deck can be used. Like I said, I've had it for years. It's been wonderful for me. I have no complaints. I could complain about it being not super shuffleable, but like I said, it doesn't matter because it's 101 super thin little cards. You're never gonna get these like fully, like properly shuffled after every single time that you use them. And the more that you try to like properly shuffle it, the more you're just gonna have cards fling themselves out at you. So I think this is an amazing card for people who are beginning. Even beyond the tarot world, I see this having a lot of uses. It's a great deck for subtlety if you're like in a home that's not very accepting of tarot or certain spiritual things. This has no, it's not super spiritually focused, right? It's focused on love towards the self and self-validation, self-motivation. So celebrate life, you're doing great, that's beautiful. But even beyond the tarot world, I could see this being something that could be really great for maybe someone who's into like scrapbooking or making crafts. I could imagine like taping this onto like a mixed media art piece or a collage. Could be really cute, or, you know, if you have pen pals, you like to send cute letters to your friends, you can put a couple of these in with like birthday cards, something like that even. So it's an amazing deck. Short, sweet, and simple. It's good enough that I have not needed to get any other sort of affirmation style decks as of yet. For me, this is all that I've needed for a quick pick-me-up. And if anything happens to these cards, they're cheap to replace. And they're just super inspiring. So I do suggest buying this if you're at all interested. And I guess I could peel off this sticker eventually. And then it just has these little prongs as separators. So you put it back in these two piles. And if you're super lazy and you don't even want to like shuffle and draw cards, you can just put them in the two piles here and then flip it over and look at the messages at the bottom. Forgive yourself and set yourself free, and you can make it possible. So that's the heart cards. Amazing for their price. They're good to use for any situation. They're discreet, good for beginners, they're cheap, they're not garbage quality, you know, they're not falling apart in my fingers after 3 years of regular use. So I couldn't suggest this more. If you have a niche that needs filling, if you want something real quick and simple you don't have to think about, if you want just a nice little pick-me-up in your life, I couldn't suggest this more. So leave a comment, let me know what you think about the deck. Would you or would you not buy this, and how come? I would love to see your thoughts. If you want to see more reviews from me in the future, you can subscribe to this channel. I am hoping to go through all of my decks that I currently own on this channel. I really enjoy deck reviews, and I have a lot of thoughts and opinions myself personally, so there will be much more of that on this channel. If you would like to see more sample readings from me, I do have a TikTok, Aetheric Sage, same name, same spelling as the channel. And I also have my own website, aethericsage.com, which is where you can go to find out more about me and my tarot journey. And it is also where you go to buy my professional readings. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a wonderful day.